Hey everyone, welcome to episode 8 of Otome Shimai.
I'm Vki.
And I'm Vka.
And we are sisters who play otome games.
Quick update, we are trying a new microphone setup, so we apologize for any sound inconsistencies from the last episode. We know I sounded a little bit louder and Vki sounded a little bit muffled, but hopefully this time around with the new microphone that'll have resolved the issue.
I really hope so.
So who are we doing this week?
Who are we doing this week? So I was finally able to start the last route in Collar Times Malice.
Woohoo!
Yeah. So I started Yanagi's route. Yanagi is great because I'm really early on in his route. And so far, he's basically an awkward father figure to everyone. And I'm really liking it.
You like the daddy vibes?
I like the fact that he has been, thrust into this role, and he's just kind of like, fine.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, I totally get that. I like him a lot so far, too.
Good. So what about you, Vka? Who are you doing this week?
Okay, last week I mentioned that I started playing Icky and Vampire 2, and I am actually dating Napoleon Bonaparte.
Wonderful sentence.
Yes. Is a weird thing to say. I don't think I've ever said that before in my life. But I really like it. So far I got the first letter from him. There's this piece where you can get a letter from the character. And you get a little bit of his perspective. And it's really cute because, you can tell he's the kind of character who has feelings and acknowledges that he has feelings. And
I love that.
Oh, I love it.
It's so rare, too.
It's rare. I love it so much.
You've got an ally who both has feelings and acknowledges the
feelings. Yes. So there has to be something going on in his past about why he's a little bit surly. I don't know what it is yet, but I'm sure we'll get there. But I'm having fun doing it. So
I'm glad. So, for today's topic, we're kind of continuing off of what we did last week, where we talked about the first Diabolik Lovers game versus the first season of the anime. Now, we are going to be talking about Season 2 of the anime versus Diabolik Lovers More Blood, which is the sequel.
Yes, so huge spoiler alert for this one as well.
Yeah, spoilers for both Season 2 of the anime and Diabolik Lovers More Blood, and also a little bit of Diabolik Lovers Dark Fate, which is the third game, but we'll talk about that a little bit later, because that gets a little weird.
Yep.
So, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be splitting this into 2 episodes, actually, because we did go a little bit long last time and realized it would be better if we had done 2 episodes. So, in this episode, we're going to focus on the new characters that are introduced in the second season of the anime, which are the Mukami brothers and the Tsukinami brothers.
Yes.
Yeah, but first, let's talk about some general observations.
Yeah, so this season, just like last season, basically another set of 12 episodes. Again, 15 minutes long only. They're so short. But at least in this one, we get a lot of backstory. You learn a lot about the lore, you learn a lot about each of the characters, and it kind of has a more angsty, serious vibe, as opposed to a more, fun, weird kind of vibe. I feel like I was laughing a lot more at the ridiculousness of last season than I was at this season.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, this season is pretty ridiculous, but it is definitely more serious than last season.
How do you feel about the intro? Because last season I really liked the intro. This one I wasn't too into it.
Yeah, so it's interesting because the intro is called Kindan no 3-6, and that's just written Kindan no and 3 6s, and it's sung by Ryohei Kimura and Daisuke Kishio, and they voice Ko and Azusa, which are 2 of the new characters.
Yay.
So once again, it's sung by the voice actors.
This is so great. I love that they do this.
Yeah. And, I mean, honestly, I kind of agree with you. I don't think it is as good as the first season's intro song, but I really liked the animation. Particularly, there's one part where it kind of switches from focusing on the Sakamaki brothers to the Mukami brothers, and the way that they did it is super sexy.
Yeah. No, I get it. The opening itself, watching the opening was really cool.
If you can say anything about the Diabolik Lovers anime, you can say it's at least pretty.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The games are beautiful. It's totally, they're gorgeous. And the anime also, same style. It's not super weird. It's not ugly. It's beautiful to look at.
Yeah, this is your aesthetic.
It is my aesthetic. I love it.
The weird Victorian vibes. They're pretty. They're pretty.
Yeah, they're very pretty. The colors, I love it. All of it. So, who should we start with?
I think we need to talk about the ones that don't belong in this season of the anime.
Don't belong. Okay, so first you have to explain why they don't belong.
Okay, so for some reason, and I don't know why they did this, but for some reason, the people who made this anime decided that they wanted to try to combine some of the plot lines of both the second and the third Diabolik Lovers games, which means that you have characters from both of those games.
Right.
But the way they did it is they decided to introduce, like, 2 characters from Diabolik Lovers Dark Fate, which is the third game, but they made them, like, the vague bad guys. And they appear in the first episode, and then for, like, 5 seconds in the 11th episode, and 5 seconds in the 12th episode. And you really don't learn anything about them. So I'm talking about the Tsukinami brothers.
Yes.
Yeah, the Tsukinami brothers, I'm not going to talk about them too much just in case there is someday a season 3 of the Diabolik Lovers anime. But they're basically werewolves. They're called Shiso, or founders. And
They're like the first werewolf.
Yeah, they're like the first werewolves.
Yeah.
But the only things that you learn about them in this anime is that Shin, one of them, has a name.
You don't know who the other one is.
You do not. They never say Carla's name.
Yeah.
Because Shin only calls him Nisan. He only calls him older brother, so you just never hear his name.
Yep.
And you know that for some reason they are after Yui, and you know that they get strong during lunar eclipses, and that they control wolves.
Yes.
Glowing wolves.
That's all you know.
That's it.
That's the whole Tsukinami part of this season.
Yes.
Which I don't understand. The season was based off of More Blood. Why did they bother including the Tsukinami brothers at all?
I mean, I can see why they did that, because I think they were trying to set up, like, a main overall issue for season 3.
Yeah.
Because what the way that it starts in Dark Fate is Yui is literally, like, living with either the Sakamaki brothers or the new guys, the Mukami brothers, and then they get attacked by wolves, and you have to go into that. But the way they did it in this is they ended up making the wolf attack happening while you're learning who the Mukami brothers are, and it just makes everything extra confusing.
Yeah. So there are some weird continuity issues between the game and the anime. Like, you definitely don't really understand who any of the characters are without the background context, just like season 1.
Except it's worse.
That's true, except it's worse. You don't even know Carla's name. But at least they still follow the same pattern of showing the, like, blood-sucking scenes from the game. Like, those are pretty consistent.
Yeah. Those
Everything
are the
else
important part.
is a mixed bag. Who knows?
So let's talk about the new main guys in this season.
Oh, I love them so much.
The Mukami brothers. And we have to tell you, we're a little bit biased
for
towards
sure.
the Mukami brothers. Okay, no, we're really
We're
biased.
super biased towards the Mukami brothers.
Because they are objectively so much better than the Sakamaki brothers. And
objectively, yes.
If you hear us, like, waxing poetic about how much more we like them, that's why.
Yes. I mean, that doesn't mean I love Creepy Baby any less, and that doesn't mean I love Tsubaru any less. It just means that I have special feelings for the Mukamis.
I agree. So how are the Mukami brothers introduced?
So this was really interesting, and from watching the anime and never playing the game, and I guess we should set this up as well. Vki played the game a while back.
Yeah.
I only watched the anime, same as season 1, and they start episode 1 with the Sakamaki brothers being in the car with Yui going to school. And there's some sort of car crash, but I have no idea why. Does that happen in the game?
That happens in the game. They're on a random road in the middle of the forest and nothing is going on, and the car suddenly, like, crashes and explodes. And one of my favorite things about this is they all escape, and Yui's like, oh my god, the drivers, something must have are they okay? And Reiji's like, oh, the car's being driven by a familiar, so it's okay. And that's, like, accepted and they move on. The problem I have with this is that in the games, the only familiars of the Sakamaki brothers that we ever see are bats.
So was a bat driving their car?
That's my question.
Okay. Yeah, that is really bizarre. And then the car does explode.
Yeah.
They get out and they're like, okay, what happened? And then you see the 4 Mukami brothers kind of, like, standing in the distance. You don't know who they are yet, of course, because they're just being introduced, and they're standing creepily watching them from like a mountaintop or something, or from a cliff.
Yeah, they're standing on the cliff, and somehow, I mean, the Sakamaki brothers automatically know that they are also vampires, but they're like half-breed vampires or not full-blood vampires, and they're declaring war. I don't know how they know this.
Yeah. I don't know either. There's no explanation for why they have any previous context.
Yeah. So I guess after the car crash, I don't know if they go to school or not. In the game, they go to school. But
at some point they end up back home, and Yui's again in the rose garden, wandering around in the middle of the night. This is Yui. This is just the way she is. Mm-hmm. So she's standing in the rose garden at night, and she gets kidnapped.
Yeah, she gets the Mukami brothers show up in the rose garden, and they're like, "You're gonna come with us," and she goes, "Ah, no," but that doesn't work. Somehow,
I don't understand why the Sakamaki brothers did not know that the Mukami brothers were in their rose garden.
Continuity errors.
You'd think vampires would have better senses than that.
They do. Maybe they just didn't care.
Maybe. Oh, yeah, maybe. That could be a whole plot point. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
It's not explained in the anime.
So she gets kidnapped from the garden and gets taken to the Mukami brothers' house.
I love this house. Well, the first time I ever saw the opening of, like, them being in the house, it's gorgeous. Like, I don't mean to wax poetic about this house.
Yes, you do.
But it's so beautiful. Like, it's so much better than the Sakamaki house. The carpets, the rugs are, like, this beautiful blue color, like, ceiling to floor windows. It's just super pretty.
There is a staircase to nowhere, though.
I'm sure there were multiple staircases to nowhere. In a couple of scenes, you see, like, Yui and one of the brothers standing around in a random place in the house. You don't know where it is. But that one staircase that you're talking about goes to her room.
Yeah.
And the one thing I don't like about this house is her room.
Yeah, Yui's room is not pretty.
It's like this bright yellow color. But at the Sakamaki house, her room's really nice.
Yeah, well, that's because you like the color pink and her room is bright pink. I don't like either of her rooms. In the Mukami household, her walls are this, like, bright yellow color, and then there's, like, orange and blue furniture, and then in the Sakamaki's household, everything is bright pink, and it's just like, I mean, I don't know who decorated Yui's rooms, but they are obviously colorblind.
I agree. But I still like pink, and maybe that's just me being biased and subjective, which is fine.
The other thing about this house, and this is actually very similar to the Sakamaki's house, there are many long hallways for Yui to aimlessly run down.
It's true. When she first gets kidnapped, she tries to run away.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, and they obviously have random women's clothing stored away because Yui gets a couple of new outfits when she's there.
That's true. She gets new pajamas. And they somehow also have a new school outfit for her to go to. I mean, she doesn't go to school in the first couple of episodes because they're, like, keeping her on lockdown. But at some point, a school uniform shows up for her, and I'm like, where did they get this? Anyways, enough about the house. I'm sorry, I went on and on. I just love this house. Every time I see it, I'm like, oh, it's so beautiful. And Vki goes, okay, the house.
One of the great things about the Mukami brothers is that they have a very different family dynamic from the Sakamaki brothers. And, they actually act like a family. Like, they love each other very, very much. They're all very close to each other. And that stems a lot from how they became brothers. Because the Mukami brothers, there are 4 of them, but they're not blood related. What happened is that they were all in an orphanage together. They were all caught trying to escape the orphanage together and basically got beaten half to death. And then Karl Heinz, the father of the Sakamaki brothers, basically rescues them and turns them into vampires. And that's how they become vampires. So there's this whole thing about how they work for Karl Heinz and they, owe Karl Heinz. But the thing is, you never actually learned that in the anime.
No, you don't. Like, there are a couple of scenes of them as children. You know it's a flashback. And they're... God knows what they're doing. Like, you don't know why they're together. You don't know why they're being chased and shot. Yeah. But that's all you know. Like, none of this is explained in the anime. We only know this because Vki played the game.
Yeah. Exactly. And but it's really funny because in the anime, they're constantly talking vaguely about a quote-unquote him and how they can't disappoint him and how they owe him. And they need to do what they're doing for him. And it's Karl Heinz. They're talking about Karl Heinz.
But in the anime, they don't tell you who it is.
No.
Like, you have no idea that guy is actually related to the Sakamaki brothers.
No, because in the first season, they showed Karl Heinz as some random blonde man.
Imposter Karl Heinz.
Imposter Karl Heinz.
Yeah, no, in this one, they do show him a little bit. You hear his voice once. But still, you don't really know the background context. You don't know the story.
Yeah. So let's go into talking about the brothers themselves. There are 4 brothers. We're going to go from youngest to oldest. So we're going to start with Azusa.
Azusa! He's so cute! I love him!
Yeah.
And he speaks so slowly.
He does, and that I had a really hard time doing his route when I first played the game because he speaks so slowly it ends up making it difficult to like understand what he's saying, especially if you're not a native Japanese speaker. And also the thing about Azusa is that he is probably the purest character in this game. And so once again, all of these guys have really, really sad backstories.
Yes.
So Azusa's backstory is basically before he entered the orphanage, he was on the street and he would just get beaten up all the time. He tried to make friends and they'd beat on him because they thought it was funny and they'd laugh. And so when he was a kid, he ended up like learning, oh, if people hurt me, that makes them happy. And because they're my friends, I want them to be happy. So it's good if I'm hurt and feel pain. And so Azusa is a serious masochist.
Yeah.
Like, serious masochist.
Oh, yeah. And you learn this, like, in one of the first scenes that Yui has interactions with him. Where she basically, he, like, goes and he's like, I want to show you my treasures. And she's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, look at my knife collection. And she's like, sorry. And he brings a knife and he's like, can you cut me? And she's like, oh, no. I don't want any part of this.
Yeah. And
he's serious. He wants to, like, connect with her. And he thinks that she'll be happy if she's harming him.
Yeah.
It's so sad. He's so pure. I love Azusa so much.
Yeah. And in the later games that he and Yui kind of get into this rhythm of him learning that that's not necessarily the best way to make people happy, and she's not going to be happy if he's hurt. But of course, in the anime, you only get a few scenes with him. So basically, what you see is him holding a knife out to her and being like, cut me! And her being like, what?
No! And then he's like, oh, what about if I cut you? And she's like, even more no! And then she accidentally cuts him. Oh, man, yeah, that was a great scene.
Yeah. But also something interesting is with Azusa, he keeps talking about, like, Justin.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, because
that was the friend that, like, bullied him and, like, beat him up when he was younger.
Yeah.
And there is a flashback scene where he's getting beat up by Justin, and it's this boy Justin and 2 girls, and then Justin goes, like, Melissa and, what was it? Christina, let's go. And then I just had this flashback in my head, and I was like, wow, if they had named Melissa Brittany, it was a lost opportunity, because Justin... Brittany and Christina would have been the perfect reference for me. And this really dates me. I'm sorry.
No, we've already said that we're older, so...
Yeah. If anybody gets that reference, kudos to you.
I think they will get that reference. I mean, we're not that ancient.
I don't know.
We're just... please...
We'll see. Please let us know if you get that reference.
Please tell us that you understand who Justin, Brittany, and Christina are, guys. Please. Otherwise, I will be heartbroken.
Okay, enough about Azusa. Let's talk about Yuma.
And his watermelon eyes.
And his watermelon eyes. That was the first thing I noticed about him, is how beautiful his green and pink eyes are.
That's a weird combination for eyes to be.
I love it. Those are 2 of my favorite colors.
Yeah, but so Yuma's a really good big brother. Kind of going back into Azusa, all of his brothers understand why he is the way he is, and they understand that he's a really good person at heart. And
Yuma really looks after him.
Yuma especially really looks after Azusa. You get a lot of scenes where they're, like, eating, and one of the other brothers will, like, be taking all the food.
Usually Cole, because he's being a dick.
Yeah, and Yuma will be like, hey, Azusa, like, you need to eat too. And Azusa will be like, oh, well, I don't need it. And Yuma's like, no, take the food.
Yeah, he's a sweetie. He's also huge. Like, he's so tall.
Yeah, he's like 6'3", 6'4".
Yeah, he's so hot.
He's yeah, Yuma's a big Yankee. For those of you who don't know, in Japanese, when you say that someone is a Yankee or a Yankee, it means that they're like a delinquent. So his speech patterns are really rough. He's a big dude. Yeah. He's got an earring, and he's just kind of like, rah!
I love it.
He's also a gardener. He's in charge of the Mukami family's garden.
I love that.
Yeah, and he grows especially tomatoes. Mm-hmm. And that really impressed us because we planted tomatoes yesterday.
Yes, we did! Oh, that was a huge flashback. That was so funny. I now know what it's like to plant a tomato, and it's hard work, guys. It's a lot of hard work.
So we appreciate Yuma.
We appreciate Yuma
and
a lot.
His tomatoes.
And his tomatoes.
He also likes shoving things in Yui's mouth.
Especially tomatoes.
Yeah, he shoves tomatoes in Yui's mouth. He also shoves sugar cubes in Yui's mouth.
So this is the thing that I didn't get in the anime with Yuma. He's always seen eating sugar cubes. I don't understand why.
Yeah, because they don't explain it in the anime. They explain it in the game.
So what's the deal with the sugar cubes?
So basically, when Karl-Heinz rescues all of the Mukami brothers and he turns them into vampires, the first thing he does is he kind of sits down with each of them and he talks to them about what has happened and like what's going to happen from now on. And he like tries to give Yuma tea and he gives Yuma sugar cubes to go with his tea. And Yuma is like, what is this? Because Yuma grew up on the streets. Like his first memories are of him just being on the streets, and he ends up like joining like a child gang. And then before he enters the orphanage, all of his friends get murdered, and that's how he ends up in the orphanage. So for him, it's really, his family is really important. Like, he really wants to take care of his family. He really wants to protect his family. But also, because he grew up in the slums on the streets, he had never seen a sugar cube before.
Yeah.
So Karl-Heinz gives him these sugar cubes, and for Yuma, it's like the most delicious thing he's ever tasted.
Aww, so then he feeds it to Yui.
Yeah, because he sucks her blood so much, she passes out. Yeah. He also feeds it to her with his mouth.
I mean, that's sexy.
In the game it was. In the anime, it's just a little weird.
Yeah, you're right. It's a little weird.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But that's Yuma.
Yuma's a sweetie. I like Yuma a lot.
So we love Yuma. Yuma's one of our favorites. And now we're going to go on to the second oldest.
Yeah, and that's Cole.
Yeah, Cole. So Cole is really interesting. Cole actually has a job.
I know, and that was something I didn't know until you had played the games and told me about it, and I didn't understand why. And this is why I don't like Cole that much, because I don't like the idol type. Like, I'm not a big fan of like the full of themselves, like, and he's popular kind of guy.
And he's literally an idol.
Yeah, he's like, literally an idol.
That is his job. He goes to work to be an idol. And when they are at school, the girls surround him because they know who he is, because he's a celebrity.
Yeah.
But he's also a vampire who does other stuff too. I don't understand how he balances his life, but you know.
Yeah. But what's his whole thing? Like, how did he become a vampire?
So Cole's backstory is once again really, really sad. He grew up literally underground. Like, he was abandoned underground as a child.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. And then he was found and ended up in the orphanage, but because he was a very pretty child, the orphanage basically rented him out to rich people to torture.
Oh.
Yeah, and so his whole thing is that he thinks that, like, nothing in life is free. He always says give and take, everything is give and take. And what he ends up doing when he's a child is he gouges his own eye out to make himself less pretty.
Yeah. And there's this one line in the anime where they say, like, you don't find out until later that sometimes an imperfection is more attractive. And it's so sad because, like, he's trying to get away from that feeling and from that life by damaging himself, only to find that, like, it actually does the opposite. It's really sad.
Yeah. And, here's another thing that's never explained in the anime, but they show in the anime. After he gouges his eye out, Karl-Heinz gives him a new eye, so he has a magical eye.
Oh, that's why his eye keeps glowing red. His eyes are not red.
No.
But that one eye keeps glowing red, and I really had no idea why.
It's because Karl-Heinz gave him a new eye, and that eye can actually kind of, like, read people's hearts, I guess. Like, he can tell what people, like, want from him, I guess.
Okay.
And that's what makes him so good as an idol.
Oh.
That's what makes him
good at his job.
Yeah.
He's cute. He's terrifying, though.
He is. Because his personality flips very, very quickly. Like, he brings Yui roses and is, like, really nice to her and is like, oh, like, now that I've, like, been nice to you, you have to give me your blood. And when Yui says no,
he's like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And, that was terrifying. That was really terrifying for me to watch. Because at first, he's very, like, sweet and kind on her. And you're like, oh, is he a nice guy? And then you find out, oh, no, there's some real bad stuff there's some real damage there.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you expect from a Diabolik Lovers game?
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, once again, once their relationship gets closer, he's actually really fun to be around.
Yeah.
Like once he and Yui kind of come to an understanding that like no, their relationship is not going to be like that. Like she is not a vending machine. You cannot put in affection and like expect blood to be given out, except that's actually how her relationship works with everyone.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Anyways, that's Cole.
That's Cole. Cole in a nutshell. I think he's cute. I also like that, like, he does show some empathy towards Yui in this season.
Yeah. Honestly, all of the Mukami brothers show some type of empathy towards Yui.
Yeah. This is why I'm saying that the Mukami brothers are objectively better than the Sakamaki brothers. Yeah. Like, they actually show some kind of feelings for her, whether it be romance or not. Actually, there's no romance, but still.
That is untrue.
Oh, so maybe we should talk about the next and last brother then.
Yeah, the next and last and best brother.
Okay, that's subjective.
Everything is subjective. I think he's the best Mukami brother. And we're talking about Ruki Mukami.
Yes. Ruki!
Ruki is the oldest. His voice is insanely sexy.
Oh, Ruki's so hot.
He is. He's very, very hot.
And he can cook. Don't you love a man that can cook?
Oh, I do love a man who can cook. I love anyone who can cook.
That's
if you
true.
can cook, like, that is the way into my heart. Give me the food. And he makes dinner for his family every single night. How sexy is that?
Oh, my gosh. I just love their family dynamic. It's so cute.
He also carries a book everywhere.
Okay, so this is the weird thing, is he's carrying this book around. I have no context for what's going on with this book, but, like, what is he reading? And why does he have to carry it with him everywhere? Do you know? Does that explain in the game?
I don't remember.
Oh, no. Okay,
I was
we'll
just as confused as you were. He's holding a book. And
maybe it's just to show that he's brilliant.
He is smart. He's very smart. He in terms of intelligence, he's like the Reiji of his family. Yeah. Like, the rest of his brothers, once again, not that smart. I mean, so Yuma has street smarts. And I guess Cole, like, knows people. Asusa, not so much.
He's just
sweet.
a sweetie. He's a cinnamon roll.
He is a cinnamon roll. He can't do anything, though.
Yeah. But Ruki, he's like the Reiji, but not sadistic.
A little bit.
Okay.
But Ruki is the main guy of the Mukami brothers, and it is very, very obvious in the anime that he is the main guy, even more so than
it was with Ayato in the first season.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because you could tell, like, she spends a lot of time with Ruki, and this is the great thing about the Mukami brothers in general, but Ruki especially, is that he actually explains things to Yui. Like, he speaks to her as a person, and that is just awe-inspiring to me for this game.
Yeah. Also, Yui speaks to him, too.
I know, in full sentences!
Full sentence Yui. It's great. They have actual conversations.
Yeah.
Not many, but at least a few.
Yes, at least a few. But it's really, really clear, because there is this one point where he has this whole existential crisis, which we're not really going to talk about right now, maybe in the next episode. But Ayato comes, and it's like a face-off between him and Ruki. And he's trying to basically get Yui back, and that you can tell, like, he's the main.
Yeah, Ayato is trying to get Yui back from Ruki, and Ruki is like, no, I want her to stay with me. And he also asks Yui's opinion on the matter.
Yeah.
What? That's amazing. The only even vaguely romantic stuff in this anime really happens between Ruki and Yui. There's actually a scene that happens after his existential crisis where it's like he hugs her, I think. They make it really vague.
Okay, so this is the thing about them having a conversation. And this is where I don't get it. I think this is the only romantic scene in the entire series of the first and second season of the anime. Because for season 1 and season 2, all of her interactions with the brothers are just like, she's a blood vending machine, basically.
Yeah.
But with Ruki, like, they have this, like, heart-to-heart, and he hugs her, or he kisses her, or maybe he even sucks her blood. I don't know. But you can tell that he has feelings for her. He's like, you are my Eve. I want you.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be with you.
Exactly.
And I was shocked.
Yeah, and that's also straight from the game.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a little bit of romance going on. You know, those are the Mukami brothers. We obviously love them. But Vika, what's your favorite scene in this anime that's with one of the Mukami brothers?
So I have a couple of favorite scenes, but I think the one, and this scene is my favorite just because it made me laugh so hard, was because it has two of my favorite Mukami brothers. It's got Azusa and it's got Yuma in it. And there's this one part where, you know, the whole thing about Azusa bringing her to his room and showing her his treasures, and he has this, like, I don't want to say sweet moment, but basically he, like, pushes her up against the door and he sucks her blood from behind. And while this is happening, he gets, like, Heaven Angel music, and I don't understand why the Heaven Angel music happens. Like, it's just kind of a sexy little scene between Azusa and Yui. And then Yuma comes home and he's like, hey, Azusa, what are you doing? And Azusa is like, oh, Yuma, you're home. And he turns around and Yui just, like, falls to the floor in front of the door because she's been sucked dry. Like, it was so funny to me.
Yeah, it shouldn't be funny.
It shouldn't be funny.
Was.
But it was really cute, too, because it shows you the dynamic between Azusa and Yuma. Yuma gets home. He's concerned about his brother Azusa. And Azusa's like, oh, welcome home, Yuma. And they totally forget about Yui. Like, forget Yui. Like, she's just there on the floor. But it was a really cute and funny moment. So that's probably my favorite scene there. Mm-hmm. Do you have one?
I do. So my favorite scene is actually one of the first scenes that Yui has with Yuma once again. Mm-hmm. And basically Yui is in their bathroom and she's taking a bath and Yuma walks in on her and is like, hey, come with me, like, we need to go do something. And Yui's like, oh my god, like, don't walk onto me in the bath. And he's like, why? I'm not interested in you. Mm-hmm. And it turns out that he wanted her to help him pick his tomatoes. In the garden. So she literally, like, he literally walks in on her in the bath and he's like, well, I don't care that you're naked, just come help me with my tomatoes. like why are you freaking out?
Gardening is serious to Yuma.
It's very serious to Yuma.
Yeah. It's really, really cute.
Yeah.
And I think we'll stop there. I think we covered all of the Mukami brothers and gave you a little bit of intro about who the characters are and, you know, the setup for the season. Mm-hmm. Next episode, we'll talk a little bit more about the lore, about all the details, the plot lines, where it works, where it doesn't work, and the relationships between the Sakamaki brothers and the Mukami brothers.
Ooh, that's my favorite.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. Yeah. But this episode was us just getting to tell you how much we love the Mukamis and kind of give you some insight into what it was like watching season 2 with a whole new character lineup.
Yeah, so thanks so much for watching, guys. We really appreciate you tuning in again. If you liked what you heard, please go ahead and like and follow us wherever you're listening to this. And then we also have a Twitter and an Instagram if you are interested in getting updates or learning more about what we're doing.
Thanks for listening. Bye!